Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss the UPSC Cse Prelims 2017 economy questions. So the first question we have is, with reference to the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, which of the following is correct? So first of all, what is NIIF? This has been set up as a wealth fund, or we can call it alternative investment fund, which will provide investment to various projects like any greenfield project or the brownfield projects. So it will provide funds to those projects. This has been formed mainly to provide the loans or the credit to various projects. And this is set up as a fund, but it is not an organ of Niti Aayog. Next is, it has a corpus of 4 lakh crores at present. When this question was asked, the corpus were 40,000 crores. Both of the options are wrong. Next is, what is the most likely advantages of implementing GST? So GST was implemented with the aim that it will create a single market in India. Looking at the option, it will replace the multiple taxes which are collected by various authorities and will thus create a single market in India. This option is correct. This was the main aim of this GST system. Next option is, it will drastically reduce the current account deficit of India and will enable it to increase its foreign exchange reserves. First of all, what is CAD, current account deficit? In the trade, जो इंडिया की trade होती है with the foreign countries, so we maintain an account that is balance of trade. Balance of trade account में we have the trade of goods and services. We need to maintain in that account कि हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स कितने अमाउंट के हैं एंड इम्पोर्ट्स कितने अमाउंट के हैं. सो इन केस हमारे एक्सपोर्ट का अमाउंट ज़्यादा है और इम्पोर्ट्स का अमाउंट कम है तो हमारा करंट अकाउंट इज पॉजिटिव. बट अगर हमारा ये केस है कि हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स कम हो जा रहे हैं, यानी इंडिया से जो एक्सपोर्ट हो रहे हैं वो कम अमाउंट के हैं, हमें इम्पोर्ट्स ज़्यादा लाने पड़ रहे हैं, इंडिया के अंदर जो इम्पोर्ट्स आ रहे हैं वो ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं, तो हमारा जो करंट अकाउंट है वो डेफिसिट में जा रहा होता है. बिकॉज हम ज़्यादा अमाउंट को इम्पोर्ट कर रहे हैं, ज़्यादा अमाउंट की गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को इम्पोर्ट कर रहे हैं कंपेयर टू जितना हम एक्सपोर्ट कर पा रहे हैं. तो इसको हम करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट बोलते हैं और हम बोल रहे हैं ऑप्शन के अंदर कि ड्रेस्टिकली रिड्यूस कर देगा करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट को. जीएसटी सिस्टम हमने इंडिया के अंदर इम्प्लीमेंट किया है तो हम फॉरेन ट्रेड पर उसका ड्रेस्टिक इम्पैक्ट नहीं देख सकते हैं. हमने बोला है कि हम जीएसटी सिस्टम को इसलिए इम्प्लीमेंट कर रहे हैं कि इंडिया के अंदर सिंगल मार्केट हो जाए, बट हमने यहाँ पर कोई क्राइटेरिया से रखा ही नहीं कि इट विल क्रिएट सिंगल मार्केट इन द वर्ल्ड. तो हम नहीं एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते कि करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट को बहुत तेजी से डिक्रीज कर देगा. सिमिलैरिटी मार्केट में इंडिया के अंदर आएगी, बाहर हम थोड़ा बहुत इम्पैक्ट एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं बट वी कैन नॉट से कि ड्रेस्टिकली रिड्यूस करेगा. नेक्स्ट इज, एंड इट विल इनेबल इट टू इंक्रीज द फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स. फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स मींस कि इंडिया के अंदर एफडीआई एफआईआई किसी भी फॉर्म में ज़्यादा अमाउंट हमें मिलेगा, लोग ज़्यादा एनआरआईज अपना ज़्यादा अमाउंट डिपॉजिट करेंगे या फिर किसी भी फॉर्म में हमें ज़्यादा अमाउंट मिलेगा. इंडिया के अंदर अगर इकोनॉमी में सिंगल मार्केट हो जाती है, देयर कैन बी चांस ऑफ कि ज़्यादा एफडीआई आ सकता है, लोगों को पीपल विल हैव मोर ट्रस्ट ऑन इंडियन मार्केट की सिमिलैरिटी है या इजीली एक्सेसिबल है, बट वी कैन नॉट एश्योर इट कि डेफिनेटली एफडीआई इंक्रीज होने वाला है. बिकॉज इट माइट बी द केस कि कुछ प्लेसेस पे अभी भी अच्छा मेंटेनेंस है, जैसे हमारे पास एसईजेड्स हैं इकोनॉमिक जोन्स की कंपेटिबिलिटी के लिए, तो उससे भी हमें एफडीआई अच्छा मिल पा रहा होता है. वी कैन नॉट से कि जीएसटी की वजह से ही ऐसा होगा. सो इसलिए ये ऑप्शन ठीक नहीं है क्योंकि यहाँ पे ड्रेस्टिकली रिड्यूस है. नेक्स्ट इज, इट विल इनॉर्मसली इंक्रीज द ग्रोथ एंड साइज ऑफ द इकोनॉमी ऑफ इंडिया. इट विल इनॉर्मसली इंक्रीज द ग्रोथ ऑफ इंडिया. एज यू हैव सीन कि यहाँ पर कुछ स्लैब्स बनाई गई हैं जीएसटी के लिए जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा चेंजेस नहीं आ रहा है रेट्स का. अगर कोई 4% रेट में कोई गुड आ रहा होता है तो हार्ड टू हार्ड उसको बस 5% में शिफ्ट किया गया, इससे ज़्यादा चेंजेस नहीं किए गए हैं. सो इट कैन नॉट एनॉर्मसली इंक्रीज द ग्रोथ. सिमिलैरिटी होगी और टैक्स में भी बहुत ज़्यादा वेरिएशन देखने को नहीं मिलेगा. तो it will have very less changes in the economy of India. It cannot enormously increase. And next part is will enable it to overtake China in the near future. हमारी इकोनॉमी एंड चाइना की इकोनॉमी में काफ़ी डिफरेंस है, हमारी जीडीपी और चाइना की जीडीपी में. जस्ट इम्प्लीमेंटिंग जीएसटी वी कैन नॉट होप दैट हम चाइना को ओवरटेक कर रहे हो. वी नीड टू वर्क ऑन वेरियस पॉलिसीज फॉर doing this. So this is also not correct. Only first is correct. And now the third question. So the first option is tax revenue as a percentage of GDP has steadily increased. Tax revenue. What is tax revenue? Tax revenue means the revenue which is collected by the government as tax. And this tax can be direct tax or can be indirect tax, but it is collected as tax. Direct tax means, let us say you're going for a passport application, then you need to pay some fees. If you're going by some train services, then you need to pay some taxes. Or direct tax can be on your salary. There are various indirect taxes, but let us say GST is one of them. On the goods you are buying, on the services you are buying, you need to pay some taxes. So those are the taxes. Tax revenue, which is collected as a percentage of GDP, has steadily increased in the last decade. And we need to check that as a percentage of the GDP, this tax should have increased steadily. But there are some instances where it has not increased steadily. If India is facing some sort of less inflation or a phase of recession, then it is hard to have the steady increase. That is why this option is not correct. Next is fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit means कि let us say government का कुछ budget है ₹100 and government at the time has it 90 rupees to invest. So these 10 rupees are the fiscal deficit of the government. So we need to calculate it at a percentage of GDP. This rupees 10 calculated as the percent of GDP of India has steadily increased in the last decade. Now this fiscal deficit also has not steadily increased because when the economy is going good and it is having high inflation, so it can cover up. So the fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP has not steadily increased. Sometime it has faced this increased, uh, but many of the time it has decreased as a percentage of GDP. So this is also incorrect. Both of the options are incorrect. Question is, what is the purpose of setting up a small finance bank? So there are majorly two types of banks in India. First is universal banks. Universal banks are those banks which can be set up at any geographical location. There is no boundation of them to set up at particular geographical location. They have no bound on that how much amount you can deposit or how much amount you can lend. No boundation on that. And they can issue debit card, they can issue credit card. But there are other banks that are known as differentiated banks. And those differentiated banks have some restrictions on their activities, and those restrictions can be on the geographical location and how much amount they can deposit, how much they can lend, what is about issuing debit card and credit card. They have restrictions on all these activities. So small finance bank are among those differentiated banks which have restrictions on their activities. These banks are set up with the aim of providing the facilities to the rural sections of the economy. So some small business to the farmers, to the small entrepreneurs, this has been done to provide the credit to them also. So looking at the options, the first is to supply credit to small business units. This is correct. The small finance banks have been set up with the same. To supply credit to small and margin farmers, yes, this is also correct. To encourage young entrepreneurs to set up business, particularly in rural areas. It has not been focused on young entrepreneurs. We have other schemes for these. So this is not correct. We have 1 and 2. Next question. Which of the following is most likely consequence of implementing the UPI? UPI has been set up for increasing digitalization as India has this mission, digitalization. Now we need to look into the option. Mobile wallets will not be necessary for online payments. As we have heard of this. In case of UPI, in some apps, we do not need mobile wallets. Digital currency will totally replace a physical currency in about 2 decades. It is not about replacing the physical currency, but we are moving towards using digital currency more for the digitalization process. Next is FDI inflows will drastically increase. FDI inflows we have from various other countries. From various countries we have FDI. But this FDI from various countries is not dependent only on this digital currency. As we know that we can have a physical currency also in the form of FDI. But it can have some impact on increasing the amount of FDI we are receiving now. It may help in increasing the FDI because in now the person don't need to come with the physical currency and deposit in our country and get back the Indian rupee. It might have some impact on increasing the FDI inflows because now they can deposit the money directly to our country using the digital apps. So it may help, but not can drastically increase. We cannot assure of drastically increasing it. Next is direct transfer of subsidies to the poor people will become very effective. It may help in increasing this. But the first option is correct that the mobile wallets will not be necessary for the online payments now. Next is which of the following statements is correct regarding the Monetary Policy Committee? This Monetary Policy Committee has been set up with the aim of checking various policies and so that analysis can be done. There are 6 members in this Monetary Policy Committee, and here RBI just in this committee, RBI need to check about the what is the GDP at that time and what can be the let us say it is accommodative stance. So why they need to consider the accommodative stance? What is the CRR at that time? What is the repo rate? So various decisions need to be taken up by the RBI at that time because they need to look up that what is the condition the country's economy is facing at the time. Accommodative stance means that for the growth to be at the same pace or to change its pace. लेट अस से एक सिनेरियो है कि आरबीआई को लगता है कि मार्केट में जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है वो ज्यादा हो रहा है तो उन्हें कौन सा स्टेंस लेने की जरूरत है और अगर उनको लगता है कि रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा है लोग बहुत ज़्यादा ही बैंक्स के अंदर अमाउंट डिपॉजिट कर रहे हैं रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बढ़ जाएगा तो लोगों की टेंडेंसी होती है कि वो बैंक्स में डिपॉजिट ज़्यादा करेंगे तो आरबीआई को ऐसे एक्शंस लेने पड़ेंगे कि रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट को कम करे अगर रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कम हो जाएगा तो लोग बैंक्स में नहीं ज़्यादा डिपॉजिट करेंगे और इकोनॉमी के अंदर मनी आ जाएगा तो अगर इकोनॉमी के अंदर मनी लाने की पॉलिसी करनी होती है तो अकॉर्डिंगली गवर्नमेंट अपने आरबीआई अपने स्टैंड को चेंज करेगी तो इस तरह से आरबीआई डिसाइड कर रही होती है एंड सारे फैक्टर्स आरबीआई कंसिडर करेगी कि सीआरआर का क्या इम्पैक्ट हो सकता है रेपो रेट का क्या हो सकता है उसी अकॉर्डिंग वो अपना स्टैंड लेंगे अकोमोडेटिव स्टैंड का मतलब कि अभी के लिए वो अपना सीआरआर या रेपो रेट सेम रख रहे हैं और अगर सिचुएशन चेंज होती है तो वो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट को कम या ज़्यादा कर लेंगे तो इससे वो वही डिसाइड कर रहे होते हैं कि फ्यूचर में क्या नीड है हम ऑप्शंस देखते हैं इट डिसाइड द आरबीआई's benchmark interest rate. Yes, it is a 12-member body including the governor of RBI and it is reconstituted every year. So it is a 6-member body. This is not correct. Next is it functions under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister. It is functions under the chairmanship of Governor of RBI. So this is not correct. Only one is correct. I hope you understand the questions well. Thank you for watching.